It was a crisp evening in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The town hall was filled with locals, young and old, rich and poor, each hoping to hear something that would give them confidence in the future. Some had come for answers about the economy, others for policies on jobs and healthcare. But no one knew that tonight, the most profound moment wouldn't come from a debate about politics, but from the innocent voice of a child. Donald Trump stood at the podium, answering questions with his usual confidence, occasionally adding humor that made the audience chuckle. But then, amidst the sea of raised hands, a small voice spoke into the microphone. A young girl, no more than 8 years old, stood on her chair so the audience could see her. She had golden curls that framed her face, and bright blue eyes filled with sincerity. The crowd quieted as she gripped the microphone with both hands. "Mr. Trump," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "do you believe in God? And, do you think He listens to us when we pray?" The room, which had been buzzing with side conversations and murmurs just moments ago, fell completely silent. Some exchanged glances, while others sat back in their chairs, waiting to see how he would respond. Trump, usually quick to answer, paused. His expression changed, no longer the bold and animated speaker, but a man reflecting on something deeply personal. He took a deep breath and leaned slightly forward. "That's a really big question," he said, his voice softer than before. "And you know what? It might be the most important question of the night." The little girl tilted her head, listening intently. "When I was about your age," he continued, "I used to ask my mother the same thing. She was a very religious woman. Scottish, strong, full of faith. She always told me, 'Donald, God listens. Even when we don't think He's paying attention, He's there.'" The girl nodded, but her eyebrows furrowed slightly, as if she was still unsure. "But how do you know for sure?" she asked, her innocence cutting through the weight of the moment. Trump smiled slightly, nodding as if he understood exactly what she meant. He looked out at the crowd, then back at the girl. "Well, sweetheart," he said, "life has a way of testing us. There have been times I felt like God wasn't there. Like He wasn't listening. I've had moments where I've lost people I loved, moments where I questioned everything." He took a deep breath before continuing. "One of those times," he said, "was when I lost my brother, Freddie. He was a great man. Kind, funny, someone who could light up a room. But he struggled with something he couldn't overcome. And I used to ask God, why? Why did this have to happen? And for a long time, I didn't get an answer." The audience remained still, the weight of his words settling over them. Even those who had come with political skepticism now found themselves listening in a different way. "But then I realized something," Trump continued. "Maybe God wasn't answering me the way I expected because He was showing me something different. He was teaching me to be better, to care more about the people around me, to learn from my mistakes. Maybe He was telling me that I still had a purpose." The little girl's lips trembled. "I pray for my dad every night," she whispered into the microphone. "He's sick. And I keep asking God to make him better. But he's still sick." A ripple of emotion spread through the audience. Several people gasped softly, while others instinctively placed a hand over their hearts. A few mothers clutched their own children a little tighter. Trump's eyes softened. Without hesitation, he motioned for her to come forward. The audience instinctively parted as the girl stepped toward him, her small hands trembling as she walked up the aisle. When she reached the stage, he knelt slightly so he could look her in the eyes. "What's your dad's name?" he asked. "Matthew," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Trump nodded. "I want you to know something, sweetheart," he said. "Sometimes, when we pray, we're expecting a miracle right away. And when we don't see it, we think God isn't listening. But you know what I believe?" The girl wiped a tear from her cheek and shook her head. "I believe," he said, "that sometimes the miracle isn't in what we ask for. Sometimes, the miracle is in the strength God gives us to keep going. The love He puts around us. The way He makes us stronger when we think we can't handle any more. The girl blinked up at him. "But what if my dad doesn't get better?" she asked, her voice breaking slightly. Trump exhaled, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Then, sweetheart," he said, "you love him as much as you can. You remind him every single day that he matters. And you hold on to faith, because no matter what happens, God doesn't leave us alone. He gives us people who love us, who help us through." Tears welled in the girl's eyes. Without thinking, she threw her small arms around him, burying her face into his suit. A collective gasp filled the room, followed by the sounds of sniffles from more than just a few audience members. Trump, usually known for his strong and firm demeanor, simply held her for a moment. When she finally pulled away, he smiled at her. "And you know what?" he said, his voice a little lighter. "I think we should all pray for Matthew tonight. I think he's got an amazing little girl looking out for him." The audience clapped, some standing to their feet, while others wiped away tears. As the girl returned to her seat, she looked back at him. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," she said. "No, sweetheart," he said, "thank you. You reminded all of us tonight what really matters." The town hall continued, but no one could shake the moment they had just witnessed. That night, in a room full of strangers, a little girl's faith had turned into a powerful reminder, one that left an entire crowd in tears.